Folks, there's a scenario where Andrew Wiggins heads back to the Golden State Warriors. We all know that Jonathan Kuminga is going to be a hard pass likely at the Warriors next season. Like, despite some fans, including myself, thinking that Kuminga is really young and he could have a path through, we have seen through the years that Kuminga and Steve Kerr relationship isn't that great. And Andrew Wiggins was connected with the Warriors again since basically he headed to Miami when we traded for Jim Butler, right? Andrew Wiggins had a history. He was a champion with the Warriors in 2022. He was very important on that championship, being the guy that was defending Jason Tatum on that finals. And he has been connected with the Warriors organization again since that trade. He heat up this week when on Monday, the Athletic guys, they were saying that the Miami Heat might be interested in Jonathan Kuminga. Kuminga is actually one of the players in this free agents that is drawing a lot of attention from the Chicago Bulls, Brooklyn Nets, and others. So the Warriors could leverage him, assuming that they don't want to keep Kuminga in the roster for the next season because he want a bigger role and play more minutes, to bring Andrew Wiggins back. And then I ask you, leave in the comments, do you think that makes sense? We're going to look at everything. Andrew Wiggins' performance last season, his contract, how that would play out, and what would cost the Warriors to actually land Andrew Wiggins again. We can't just do a sign and trade, including John Kuminga, and I'm going to explain you why. So before we head there, I actually asked in the channel today, this morning, I wanted to see your opinion. So, and a lot of you actually are in favor of this trade. You think that bringing Andrew Wiggins, he's a fit, right? I think when you think about playing in the backcourt, Jim Butler, Stephen Curry, and Andrew Wiggins together, that makes a very strong one. Wiggins is a good perimeter defender. We got to see if he's available. He had that problem with the Warriors over the past few years when he was still there, where he missed games and injuries and personal reasons. But if he's there, that would be a very strong one. And he brings that third score, because I think the basically thing for Andrew Wiggins, he could never shine when he was demanded or under pressure, or being that guy like Jim Butler is, that second guy, or even like the first one when Stephen Curry wasn't on the floor. But when you leave him there as an extra third weapon, I think he's very dangerous and he's very powerful. So I understand why so many of you want to see him back. There's also that connection. He's a champion, has won a ring with the Warriors. It was like a sad day when he had to leave, and even with the organization. And as you can see in the rumors here, even for the coaching staff, they would see that with good eyes, right? Everyone knows Kuminga. Andrew Wiggins. Steve Kerr knows how Wiggins play and how he would fit there. He already knows Stephen Curry, Draymond Green. So there's a synergy there that would allow and facilitate probably even more than what Steve Kerr is saying in this video here, and we're going to discuss in a minute. Take a look.
Kuminga's future will be kind of the big ticket item of y'all summer. I know that's kind of a Mike decision and process, but if he were to come back, do you feel like it can work in a way maybe better than it has even?
Yeah. I mean, if JK comes back, we will for sure spend the early part of the season playing him with Jimmy, Draymond, Steph. I mean, to me, that would be a no-brainer. We didn't have that luxury this year. We're fighting. We've basically been in the playoffs since the minute we got Jimmy, and that was also when JK got hurt. So we spent, whatever it was, 25 games or so without JK, and went on that run. We found a formula that worked. When he did come back, it was a tough fit, but we also didn't have the luxury of just experimenting and giving that more of a runway. So if JK comes back this year, we have to look at that for sure.
Now my question is, are we really doing it? Because I have seen through the years that Steve Kerr patience with Kuminga is different than anyone else. How many opportunities we saw him giving to pods, to other players. And for whatever reason that we're not going to discuss here today, is not the goal of this video, he doesn't give the same amount of chances to Jonathan Kuminga. Is Steve Kerr and the Warriors willing to sacrifice a little bit of the beginning of the next season to find that fit? And can they even do that the way that Steve Kerr wants the Warriors to play? And considering that we're still playing Draymond Green, Jim Butler, Stephen Curry for most of the minutes, is Kuminga willing to have that 28 minutes has been average? We already have seen that no, right? So one thing to take in consideration when thinking, should we bring Andrew Wiggins or not, is the fact that we might not have John Kuminga at all. So it wouldn't actually be a possibility of we're not going to get Andrew Wiggins because we want to stay with Kuminga. The Warriors probably don't want to do that right now. Even that, I don't think is the best idea. Okay, maybe there's someone else that could be better. Do we want to trade for Ken Johnson or another player than Andrew Wiggins? We can argue that. But when thinking about keeping Kuminga or bringing Andrew Wiggins, despite liking Wiggins as well, I would think that John Kuminga makes better sense. And I'm going to tell you why. Let's look at the stats, right? So when we look to Wiggins last season, he was averaging 18 points per game, 4 rebounds. So we know what Wiggins can deliver in general, right? Those numbers include both his time at the Heat, Miami Heat, and then after the trade and the Warriors as well for the last season. A lot of the problems, as I said, with Wiggins is the fact that for the last 2-3 seasons with the Warriors, he missed a lot of players for personal reasons, a lot of games, and that's problematic. How he would fit, and he doesn't have sometimes, like, he seems to be connected and off all the time in the games. Like sometimes he has that hunting mindset, that killer mindset, and sometimes he's just disconnected. But we know how important he can be, and I think he could shine even more having a pair like Butler on top of Stephen Curry that was already there, because then you have two guys calling attention, and Andrew Wiggins becomes that third very reliable scorer, right? So yes, it's an immediate fit. But let's not forget that Andrew Wiggins is already 30 years old. And then you look to some guy like John Kuminga, that I know there's a lot to improve, but he's only 22, has been already in the league a while, is creating experiences, improving. In some games last season was delivering that 30 points. He ended up the season finishing like 15 points per game, above 15 points per game. He has a lot of more time to improve, and he could actually, one thing that we have to keep in mind, like the window for Stephen Curry, Draymond Green, Butler, it's closing, right? So what is going to be from about the Warriors after that? We can't just think on the short run, right? An organization, a fan, have to remind that the Golden State Warriors are beyond Stephen Curry, are beyond Draymond Green. Those guys are amazing, but I'm at least not just a Curry fan. I'm a Golden State Warriors fan. So I want to think in the organization right now, but also past those guys. And there's more future if we keep Kuminga than bringing Andrew Wiggins back, that probably in 2-3 years won't be here as well, right? So I don't think, for example, looking at these numbers, it makes sense. And I want to add, and I'm going to throw you one other player here and explain you why. Look at this comparison and why this is important, that I'm throwing Moses Moody here as well. Remember that any sign and trade with Jonathan Kuminga, when we send the money away, we just count for half of that. If you don't know the rule, you can Google it like quickly later. How is the rule of sign and trade for Jonathan Kuminga in this case? But whatever his contract, only half of it is going to count for the Warriors. So that means that to absorb the Andrew Wiggins salary, which we will look in a minute, we're going to need to send someone else to the Miami Heat. So we can't just do 1-to-1. And that, it's likely meaning that we're sending Moses Moody as well. So not just we are doing a trade that for me doesn't make sense because of the age, the potential. I still believe on Kuminga. I still think that if Kerr pushes a little bit more, we can make him fit. But you also have to let it go another player as well, that either would be Moses Moody or Buddy Hield. We're going to have to figure out to match those salaries. And that's where it becomes even more problematic. I know if you just look for now without thinking on the future, that Andrew Wiggins is a more immediate fit. But it's also very risky as well, right? And then when you look to salary, that's why I'm saying that it's hard, right? If we can't fit John Kuminga because we don't want to pay that $30 million because of the cap space, that's the same problem with Wiggins. And that's why I'm saying, like, he has a $28 million for next season. And then he has a player option of 30 million for the following year. So you create already that big chunk of on your cap space, and just letting Jonathan Kuminga go won't fit it. It means that we are losing another big player or important rotational player like Buddy Hield or Moses Moody. So I know most of you answered that in the pool that you would like to see that. And I think when you look just to the short term, it might make sense. But I ask your opinion. Do you think that look to the long term as well, past Stephen Curry, wouldn't be better to have John Kuminga, and would be better to believe in his potential versus Andrew Wiggins? The Warriors could reunite with Andrew Wiggins, a champion again. But I want to know in the comments, what do you think about it? Let it there. And if you have any other trade in mind, let me know as well, and we might bring here and discuss. Have a great day, and bye.